You know, the exact feeling. It is midnight. The office is completely dead.
Oh, yeah. We have all been there.
You sit there, rubbing your eyes.
Mm.
You are physically exhausted. You are literally copy-pasting numbers from a blurry PDF report.
Right into Excel.
Yes, right into Excel. And you're doing this just to fix a single slide for tomorrow's pitch.
It is a painful reality. We have all stared at that glowing screen.
It feels like endless grunt work.
Eat.
Welcome, learner, to today's deep dive. We are looking at something incredibly practical today. We're exploring AI tools for finance professionals.
And, these tools exist specifically to kill that midnight grunt work. But there is a massive trap here. The biggest mistake people make is expecting one single tool to do everything. They want one AI to handle research, modeling, and presentation slides.
Which is impossible.
Right. That approach always collapses under pressure.
It really does. You can't just throw a Swiss Army knife at a construction project. You need the exact right tool for the specific job. 2-sec silence. So we're going to trace the exact sequence of a real finance workflow today.
From start to finish.
Right. We will start with the initial due diligence and research. Then we will pull the trapped data out. Next, we will model that data properly. And finally, we will turn it into a pitch-winning presentation.
It is all about building a highly reliable sequential system. You really cannot skip any steps here.
So let's start at the very beginning of that workflow. Before you can build a fancy valuation model, you need the raw facts. You have to start with the correct data source.
Absolutely.
And I see so many analysts trip up immediately on this very first step.
Oh, all the time. They immediately open up a general chatbot. They type a prompt into ChatGPT or Gemini. They ask for specific financial metrics on a public company.
Which, seems logical at first glance.
It feels intuitive, but general chatbots fail miserably here. They are just pattern-matching engines. They guess the next word based on language patterns.
Which is dangerous.
Incredibly dangerous in finance. They are highly prone to hallucinating.
And just to clarify that, hallucination is when the AI confidently invents fake numbers.
Yes. It invents them because they look statistically probable.
Right. Using a general AI for finance research is like asking a poet to do your taxes. It sounds beautiful, but the underlying math is entirely fictional.
That is a brilliant way to put it. You need highly specialized research tools instead.
Like what?
Well, let's talk about FinTool. FinTool is built specifically for researching U.S.-listed companies. It doesn't guess the next word. It pulls data directly from actual SEC filings, and it reads verbatim earnings call transcripts.
But wait, let me push back on that a bit.
Yeah.
SEC filings are notorious for heavy management speak.
Oh, yeah.
They bury the real story in massive footnotes. Does FinTool actually cut through that corporate spin?
That is the beauty of it. It doesn't just summarize the spin. Because it indexes the actual transcripts and the filings together, you can cross-reference them.
Oh, I see.
You can ask FinTool to generate a structured investment thesis. It will explicitly separate the company's stated growth drivers from the buried risk factors.
So it maps the narrative against the required disclosures.
Exactly. You can even screen for specific insider buying behavior.
Really?
Yeah. You ask it to show recent executive stock purchases. It returns the exact purchase amounts and shows you the specific buyer roles.
That is a massive time saver for initial screening. But FinTool does have a strict limitation. It focuses heavily on U.S. stocks. What if your mandate covers European markets or emerging economies?
Then you absolutely need AlphaSense. AlphaSense is the global enterprise-grade alternative. It doesn't just look at public filings.
What else does it pull?
It accesses proprietary broker research worldwide. It pulls in global news feeds and complex regulatory filings across different jurisdictions.
So it handles the heavy international due diligence.
Yeah. It is widely used by major investment banks. It is absolutely perfect for preparing complex pitch books. It uses natural language processing to scan massive volumes of multilingual documents in seconds.
I have a probing question about that, though. Do these specialized tools actually eliminate human blind spots entirely?
Not entirely, no. They are amazing filters. They narrow down a massive mountain of documents into a highly focused pile. But they do not replace your human judgment. FinTool cannot tell you which specific risk factor actually matters most.
They hand you the right puzzle pieces, but you build the picture.
Exactly. You still have to do the thinking.
So you've got these pristine summaries and broker reports. You know what you want to analyze, but now you hit the classic analyst wall. The data you need is trapped.
It is always trapped inside locked, unselectable PDFs.
Right. You need to get those numbers out. You definitely cannot afford to manually retype them at midnight.
Never.
This brings us to the extraction phase.
This is where a specialized tool called Quadratic really shines. Quadratic looks exactly like a traditional spreadsheet interface, but it has a powerful spatial AI layer built directly into it.
Wait, spatial AI. How does that actually work in practice?
Well, spatial AI is an AI that reads the visual layout of a document. Traditional extraction tools just read text from left to right.
Which gets messy.
Right. They get confused by weird spacing. Quadratic actually looks at the visual bounding boxes of the document. Imagine you have a dense 80-page annual report.
Okay.
You only need the income statement. Normally, you scroll forever trying to copy and format it.
And the formatting always breaks when you paste it.
Always. But with Quadratic, you simply upload the PDF. Then you give it a natural language prompt. You say, extract the income statement into a table with years as columns.
And it just spatially maps and pulls it.
It pulls the table perfectly. It places it directly into your spreadsheet view. No manual copying, zero formatting repairs.
Whoa. Imagine scaling to comparing 3 years of reports from 2 different companies instantly.
It handles that kind of scaling easily. You can bring multiple disparate files into one single working view.
That is incredible.
It even has a live connection feature built in. You can connect an external transaction feed via API. It updates your spreadsheet automatically on a set schedule.
That completely eliminates so much manual updating work.
Okay.
Beat. But I feel like we have to issue a vital warning here.
Yes, a massive non-negotiable warning. A strict human check is absolutely mandatory.
Because the AI is reading visual structure, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes those column headers get completely mislabeled. I have seen extra dates suddenly appear from nowhere.
Just because a page number looked like a year.
Right, you get errors. The spatial mapping isn't flawless.
No, it is not. You always have to verify the output against the original source document.
So what is the biggest trap when that extracted data looks perfectly formatted?
The biggest trap is consolidation logic. A company might group line items differently year over year. The extracted table looks pristine, but the underlying components of something like operating expenses might have completely changed. The AI just blindly copies the top-level label.
Beautiful tables can still hide dangerously grouped numbers.
Spot on. You always have to read the footnotes yourself.
So extraction gets the data out of the PDF and onto a grid. But the actual heavy lifting has to happen where finance actually lives. It has to happen inside Excel.
Excel is not going anywhere. It is the absolute bedrock. But AI can significantly supercharge your workflow inside it. Let's start with Microsoft's Excel Copilot. Copilot is fantastic for messy, logic-based data cleanup.
Give us a concrete example of that messiness.
Think about categorizing highly varied credit card transactions. You have a massive list of raw expenses, thousands of rows.
Right.
The descriptions say coffee shop, ride-hailing app, or software subscription. You need to strictly categorize them into food, transport, or office costs.
A standard VLOOKUP formula completely fails there.
It completely fails. The exact text strings just do not match. Flash fill also fails because there isn't a strict syntactic pattern.
Yeah.
But Copilot uses semantic vector mapping.
Meaning it mathematically interprets the actual meaning of words.
Exactly. It understands the context. It knows a coffee shop is conceptually related to food.
It interprets the underlying context. It doesn't just strictly match characters. Beat. But what about actually building out financial models from scratch?
For generating first draft models, Claude directly inside Excel is fantastic. You just feed it a highly specific prompt.
Like what?
For example, you type, build a loan schedule, 20-year mortgage at 6.5% on a $500,000 principal.
And it just builds the whole architectural table.
It does. It sets up the entire grid. It even automatically color codes your blue cells for hard inputs and your black cells for formulas.
I have a vulnerable admission to make here.
Oh.
I still wrestle with trusting AI to build full schedules. I find myself checking row by row, just painstakingly slow math checks.
You absolutely should be checking. Claude has severe context window limits.
Meaning how much text the AI remembers at once.
Yeah. Right. Because of those limits, it sometimes just randomly stops processing. A 240-month amortization schedule might abruptly just end at row 10 for no reason.
It just completely loses the thread.
Exactly. It forgets what it was doing. That is why, for actual heavy modeling, you need to step up to TraceLight. TraceLight is an AI built purely for rigorous finance work.
How does TraceLight handle dynamic, complex scenarios?
Let's say you are analyzing a startup. Their starting monthly recurring revenue is $50,000. You need to model 3 distinct scenarios.
Okay.
The best case is 15% monthly growth. The base case is 8%. The worst case is 3%.
That is very standard forecasting stuff.
You prompt TraceLight to build a dynamic 12-month profit and loss statement based on those parameters. It instantly builds it on a clean new sheet,
Wow.
and it automatically adds a functional scenario toggle at the top.
That is incredibly powerful, Beat. But there's a massive structural risk there, isn't there?
A huge risk. TraceLight usually generates that scenario toggle as a simple free text cell. If a junior analyst types worst instead of worst case, the entire model breaks instantly.
The formulas completely lose their specific string reference.
Yeah, the reference errors cascade everywhere.
Yes.
A pro tip here is to immediately replace that free text AI cell. Use standard Excel data validation dropdowns instead. It takes 5 seconds to fix, and it completely saves your model from typos.
I have noticed something, though. Why do these AI tools completely fall apart on multi-sheet 3-statement models?
It comes down to AI working memory constraints. A proper 3-statement model requires holding hundreds of highly interdependent variables in mind simultaneously.
Right.
It is like trying to play a complex game of chess while looking through a tiny straw. The AI loses track of the grand architecture across the different tabs. It forgets exactly how the balance sheet links back to the cash flow statement.
AI is great at single tasks, bad at holding the whole building's blueprint.
Exactly right. Keep the AI strictly focused on modular, single-sheet tasks. Mid-roll sponsor read.
We are back. We have thoroughly researched our initial data. We have safely extracted it from those stubborn PDFs. We have rigorously modeled it inside Excel.
But raw spreadsheets do not actually win client pitches.
No, they do not. You have to communicate those findings visually.
Presentations are everything, and formatting slides manually is mind-numbingly tedious.
It is the absolute worst part of the job.
Which is precisely why Claude integrated directly into PowerPoint is so highly useful. It actively pulls your live Excel data directly into your presentation slides.
How aggressively specific do you need to be with your prompts?
You have to be incredibly specific. You give it a highly structured prompt like this. Create a single-page company profile for Apple using the ticker AAPL. Include a business overview, key financial metrics, and major risk factors.
Does it actually handle the visual design layout itself?
It does, but you absolutely must guide it. You need to explicitly specify a white background in your text prompt. You must demand a clean, minimalist layout.
What happens if you don't?
If you do not dictate the aesthetics, you will spend 3 hours manually fixing the hideous formatting it guesses.
What if you don't have hard data yet? What if you need to build a high-level concept deck from scratch?
Then you pivot and use Gamma. Gamma is an AI platform built purely for sheer visual speed.
So you wouldn't use it for heavy data integration?
Right. It is strictly for communicating ideas and concepts. You tell the prompt engine to create a 6-slide executive deck.
Okay.
Let's say comparing equity versus debt financing for a small logistics business. Gamma's engine instantly handles all the visual layouts automatically. It is absolutely perfect for rapid internal strategy decks.
It provides that foundational visual structure instantly. Yeah. What about reporting decks that we have to painfully update every single month?
For recurring monthly reviews, you really want to use Bricks. Bricks is designed to build interactive, live updating dashboards.
How does that work?
The visual structure of the presentation stays exactly the same month over month, but the underlying numbers change dynamically as new data flows in.
It securely connects your raw spreadsheet directly to the final visual output.
Exactly. It is absolutely perfect for tedious monthly budget tracking or variance analysis.
Is the hallucination risk higher when an AI is trying to make something look pretty?
Absolutely it is. Design-focused AI models are explicitly optimized for visual layout, not mathematical accuracy.
Wow.
They will happily invent a plausible-looking bar chart or perfectly round a crucial number simply because it makes the slide look more symmetrical.
Pretty slides can easily distract from completely fabricated data points.
That is the ultimate danger. You cannot ever let your guard down just because a chart looks professionally designed.
Let's move to our big idea recap. We have covered a massive amount of ground today. The overarching philosophy here is remarkably simple. You must match the specific tool to the specific step.
Never, ever use one single tool for everything.
Use FinTool or AlphaSense for your foundational research. Use Quadratic for your structured document extraction. Use Copilot, Claude, or TraceLight inside Excel for modeling. And use Claude, Gamma, or Bricks for your final presentation slides.
And the absolute, undeniable golden rule. AI speed must always be paired with rigorous human review.
Those review habits are completely non-negotiable. Always check 3 to 5 random line items on your extracted data directly against the source PDF.
Yes.
Always test your AI-generated models with a deeply familiar known scenario to check the math. And, critically, read every single number on a presentation slide out loud before sharing it.
Reading out loud catches so many hidden errors. It physically forces your brain to slow down. You actually process the math instead of just skimming the visual shapes.
It really does. It breaks the visual hypnosis. 2-sec silence. So, learner, here's our specific call to action for you today. Take a hard look at your current weekly workflow. Identify the single most painfully time-consuming step.
Just pick the absolute worst bottleneck. And try integrating just one of these specialized tools this week. See how it materially changes your workday.
Start very small. Build your trust gradually.
Yeah.
Beat. I want to leave you with a final, slightly philosophical thought.
Let's hear it.
If specialized AI eventually handles all the tedious grunt work of extracting PDF data and building those initial baseline models, does the future finance professional become less of a mathematical builder and more of an editor or a philosopher of risk?
That is definitely something to think about as the industry shifts.
Thanks for joining this deep dive. Outro music.